Oh man,
wait.
I love watching you. Man.
Do you seriously? You watch my stuff?
For real.
Holy hell!
You're one of the greatest out there.
That's amazing.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Dude, seriously, your performance in this is absolutely flawless. Seriously, I do all these all the time, and when I don't like someone, I just kind of roll into it. So seriously, thank you for your time, man.
Thank you, man.
I was wondering if you could imagine sitting in a movie theater with Elvis, watching this film, and when it's over, you lean over and you go, what did you think about how I did this? What is the aspect of your performance you would love to get his thoughts on?
His personality. It's the soul of him, you know, and that was the thing that was the most moving to me was Priscilla and Lisa Marie saying those things to me. Mm-hmm. You know, Priscilla saying if he was here today, he'd say, hot damn, that's me. Like, I just was like, I can't even believe
I just got chills. You doing that just now, I just got chills.
No, I can't, yeah, I gotta pinch myself every day, truly.
Well, it's funny that you just did the voice for a moment because everybody in this room can do a really bad Elvis voice. What you do is different. What you do is real. What is the difference between what you do in this film and the bad impression that everyone in this room can do?
I think I was struck by so many things, realizing, because we've all heard those impressions of his voice and those sorts of things, and so for me it was, and I know when I first started, I was much too deep. I was going into the caricature of what you sort of imagine his voice is. Yeah. And then for me it was really helpful listening to every one of the interviews. Like, he gave so many interviews in his life, so I was listening to every interview he ever gave chronologically and seeing how his voice changes. Right. And so, because that was the other thing, is like, in the beginning, before he'd heard his voice, this is my theory, before he'd heard, you know when you hear your voice on an answering machine
and you're
or
like,
something?
is that really what
is that what I sound like?
Every day doing this, man.
Yeah, because you hear him in the days like when he's first starting at Sun or on the Louisiana Hayride, and the way that he speaks is so, he's blurring words together and speaking fast and speaking in more of a nasal tone. And then I think he hears his voice and he starts, because he was a magpie, he pulled from a lot of different places. And so I think he sort of started to change his voice, but then as he ages, his voice starts to calcify. And so for me, it was really listening to it. I would record myself doing his interviews and playing back and go, why does that sound different to me? And there was a lot of that kind of stuff.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I want to talk about performing and singing. I found a fascinating quote from him. He said, rock and roll music, if you like it, if you feel it, you can't help but move to it. That's what happens to me. I can't help it. Yeah. When you're on that stage and you're singing, you're performing, what does it do to you?
Exactly. That's the epiphany that I had. I was never a dancer. I'm a very shy person, and it was moments of like, Baz and I went to Nashville, and right when I got the part, and we were doing the recordings of the gospel singers, and getting to be in this room where they start singing, and you feel the chills going down your back, and they're singing from their soul, and they start stamping their feet, and so they let me just kind of stand in the center of that and feel what it feels like to have the music move you. Yeah. So like, that was the core, and then I had many moments along the way where I had these epiphanies of like, that's what it means to dance. When you're not doing choreography, and it's about feeling the music, and it's like the drum moves your arm in a certain way, and the guitar moves your hands in a certain way, and so it was all that to me.
And it's so up there on the screen. I'm going to cut you loose on this. I was wondering if you could compare working with Baz Luhrmann to working with Tarantino. In both situations, you're playing a real person, but different variations of history, you can say. Obviously, a real one versus a more fantastical one. What was the biggest commonality and then the biggest difference between these two experiences?
I think the commonality is the amount of research that both of them do, and the immersive quality that both of them have as filmmakers. The difference is the way Quentin is on set is he's so incredibly specific about what the movie is in his head, and so when you get there, the rhythm of how you're speaking, everything, like if you change one word, he's he'll say, no, it changes the rhythm if you change that one word. And so it's like doing a play. It's like Shakespeare or Eugene O'Neill or something like that, where, and it's because of Quentin's love of playwrights and that sort of thing. And so the way that he is with dialogue, and Baz is more like a jazz musician, where all that work that goes into it, when you get there, I mean, it's terrifying in the beginning because you've prepared something for 8 months, and then I'm in the hair and makeup chair, and he comes in and goes, I rewrote the whole scene this morning. And you go, God dang. And so suddenly you're...
Just throw the script up in the air.
Yeah, the script goes out the window, or he goes, I got an idea. At the beginning of the scene, how about you're singing a gospel song? Well, a song that I'd never prepared. And he goes, yeah, you know, it's one of those, I'd listen to it, but, and so then suddenly I'm singing that at the beginning of the scene, and then he's like, and then go into Are You Lonesome Tonight, and then start the scene. And just ideas come
I just got anxiety hearing you describe that moment.
That's what it's like, and it's terrifying. But I've said this before, like, I got to speak to Leo beforehand, and he told me, Baz is gonna keep you off balance, but it's gonna pull things out of you never knew you had inside you. And that's exactly what it was. It was like, he pushed me right to the edge of what I thought was possible. And I always knew that if I fell, he had me, that I was safe.
That's unbelievable. Dude, Austin, I'm such a fan of yours. Dude, thank you for saying that you watched...
No, I'm such a fan of yours.
Dude, seriously,
really,
that's
truly.
incredible. I truly appreciate you saying that you were unbelievable in this. So seriously, I know you have a busy day. I truly appreciate your time. Thank you. Hopefully we get to talk many times in the future.
Yeah, I hope we get a longer conversation.
Oh, absolutely. Would love to. All right, man, a pleasure.
All right,
thank you so much.
See you later.
You're all, man, you're Viva Las Vegas stout here,
Well, I kind
man.
of felt like I had for this one. And my grandmother said you respect someone, you got to dress to show them. So if I ever show up in a t-shirt and flip-flops and board shorts,
okay,
you've
all
messed
right.
up.
Is that, that's good lessons.
Yes, sir.
Good lessons.
I tell you this every time. I'm sure you're sick of hearing you're my favorite actor of all time, and I appreciate you always being so kind to me.
Oh,
sir.
thanks.
Yeah. Mr. Hanks, good to see you again, sir.
Good to see you. Guys.
So I don't want to start off this interview by pointing out an inaccuracy, but according to the major motion picture Forrest Gump, Elvis learned his dance moves from a young boy in Greenbow, Alabama.
That's right.
Did Baz ever consider including that part of Elvis's history?
No, he never brought it up, which was a bone of contention for a while, I guess, you know. I wasn't there when they shot that scene back in the day, but doesn't everything just kind of come back to that movie one way or another? It all just circles back.
One way or the other.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, I was wondering if you could imagine sitting in a movie theater with Colonel Tom Parker, watching this film, and when it's over, you lean over and you go, what did you think about how I did this? What is the aspect of your performance you would love to get his thoughts on?
I think he would have said, I'm much more charming than that guy. Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Well, because that's what I heard. I heard it from Priscilla Presley herself and Jerry Schilling. Leon Ford, who played Tom Diskin, reported to me that Tom Diskin adored Colonel Tom Parker. He brightened up every room that he walked into. He was a bag of fun, and he even says, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. No, we'll have a lot of fun. What I think that he might have been much more tougher on anybody who was negotiating with him. I think when everybody says, oh, he was such a villain, he's the villain of the piece. Yeah, if you're trying to negotiate with him. Then he's not going to be a convivial kind of guy.
We're all the villain to somebody.
Well, exactly right. There's going to be some matter of conflict there. I mean, I remember there's like kind of like quotes from his. Well, that sounds like a fine amount of money, but what are you going to pay my boy? True stories.
I love that line, and I love that the movie is told through his perspective. We get Elvis's life story through the eyes of Tom Parker. If someone were going to tell your life story, through whose eyes would you be most interested in seeing that story told?
No one with any accuracy, you know. No one would actually be able to pay it. I don't know. I'm a mercurial isolated enigma. I don't think any, you know, my kids would be able to, but they'd sum up the whole thing in about 42 seconds.
I'd still watch that movie.
Well, man, okay, 42 seconds of me being a knothead. Okay, all right. Put some music in it and stretch it out to 10 minutes, and it might be great.
I'd be down. You know, I feel like the story of the up-and-coming artist and the manager who takes advantage of them is, these days, it's a bit of a cautionary tale in the entertainment industry. When you were an up-and-coming actor, how did you keep that from happening to you? How did you protect yourself in that regard?
Well, you know, I actually had a manager for a number of years, and after a while, I wasn't quite sure if he was listening to me. I don't. It always seemed to be like. Look, this is all on me. This is all up to the individual artist. When I was starting out, I thought the reason you took a job was because they asked you if you wanted to have the job. They offered it to you. The idea of like steering or aiming towards any sort of particular artistic bent or, you know, desire in order to have some sort of DNA of your work is always on. I think always on the artist himself, and there is as you said, there is just something to the dynamic between I am going to represent you, and one part of that is to make sure you are well, enhanced, remunerated for what your efforts are, that you're always getting some sort of market value. But that's not the same thing that goes through the artist's head. The artist's head is, the best deal is the one that allows me to make the movie because I really want to make this movie. And I didn't live by that discipline for an awful long time.
Really?
Yeah, I was young, and, I had house payments and I had a family, and I just thought, wait. And also I came from repertory theater, which is you signed on for a season and you took the roles that you could get, and hopefully you worked in every show. So I did not become judicious about my choices until until I was 5, 6, 7 movies into it.
I'm going to cut you loose really quickly on this one. I am from Chicago, and I have an unhealthy obsession with the film Road to Perdition, which turns 20 in just a couple of days, believe it or not.
Really?
It's
Wow.
I mean, I've been counting down. And I feel like in the grand scope of your filmography, when I talk to people, it's not one of the movies that comes up at the top of the list. I'm sort of curious, 20 years later, where does that movie stand to you? What do you think about when you think about that?
That was a very important movie for me because it was the first time, I won't say the first, but let's just say the first time in which the demands put on me by the director was less. Keep it closer to your vest. Keep it closer to your vest. And the fact that it was Mr. Paul Newman, and at the very beginning of Who They Are, that Jude Law and Daniel Craig, so that we were making a movie about as muted as the cinematography was by way of Conrad Hall. And I think, look, not everything lands when it's supposed to, but the great thing is that film lasts forever. And sooner or later, you're going to be doing a symposium on a movie made 25 years ago, or maybe even 20 years ago.
Yeah. Mr. Hanks, you are my favorite actor of all time. I can't believe that I get to keep doing this, sir.
I'll come back anytime. All we do is talk about movies.
You're phenomenal in this, and I love this movie.
you.
And I always tell I do junkets every day, so when I don't like something, I just kind of awkwardly
Right.
slide right into it. So seriously,
Okay.
thank you for your time.
No, thank you.
I was wondering if you could imagine sitting in a movie theater with Elvis, watching this movie, and when it's over, you lean over and you go, what'd you think about how I did this? What is the aspect of your performance you would love to get his thoughts on?
Aspect of my performance? Oh gosh. Maybe. I think her essence and her softness was very important to me. So I would love to hear what he would have had to have said about that if he was here.
For sure.
I think so.
To your point, I'm really curious about the different experiences that you and Austin had, because obviously Priscilla is still with us and Elvis is not. I'm sort of curious what the difference is as an actor when you have someone that you can call up and ask questions to versus when you don't have that person.
Well, I didn't reach out. I mean, we didn't really get to connect while we were shooting, so I sort of also was in a similar boat of going like, hey, I'm going to research as much as I can. I'm going to really sort of sit and empathize with this woman, and I'm going to try and do my best to illuminate something real and truthful in her. So yeah, I guess me and Oz were kind of in a similar boat. I knew that she was going to see the film, so that aspect of it can be a little bit nerve-wracking for sure. But yeah, it's been a very, very interesting process.
Well, to that point, because that leads perfectly into my next question. She said, and I quote, that this film is a true story told brilliantly. Take me to the moment when someone tells you she saw it, she loved it. What was that moment like?
I think they kept it quiet for everyone's nerves and peace of mind, you know?
So you didn't know that she was going
I didn't know when she was going to see it. I knew she was going to see the film, but I didn't know when. And so the first time that I had heard about it was when she wrote that beautiful piece on Instagram, sort of complimenting everybody. And it was such a relief. It was such an honor to have her around, to have her energy, to have her approval, to have her speaking at some of these screenings. It's just incredible.
So we were all at the screening last night, and you guys all came out, and she was there. What is that like now? Like, what is your relationship with her now? Like, what do you guys talk? Like, how do you casually have a conversation like that?
I mean, she's also just a woman, you know, who had a very interesting experience that happened to be known by a lot of people. You know, she's a mother. You know, she's a grandmother. She's really, really lovely. You know, it's been nice just chatting to her. You know, we talk about things about, you know, I don't know, life, boyfriends, life, things like that. That's
fantastic.
She's gorgeous.
I love that. This is a big question, but Baz has obviously told the story of America in different periods of
Yes,
history through
yes.
the eyes of different people, whether it's Jay Gatsby or Elvis. Who is the person today that you think would be the best opportunity for him to tell the story of America in 2022?
Oh, wow. Oh, gosh.
I know, it's a big question.
I mean, I'm also Australian. Let me think. Can we come back? Can we circle back to that
we'll swing
question?
back
Let me
around.
think about it, and then we'll
Think
swing
about
back
it, we're
around.
gonna come back in it, because
Okay,
I will
great.
sit here all
Okay.
yeah,
All right,
we're all
okay,
good.
okay.
Yeah. You know, what's funny though, all these songs in the film are songs that I feel like I've heard 1,000 times. You grow up with, they're so ingrained in pop culture that you hear them instinctively, and you don't really think much about them because you hear them so much. But when you see them in the context of this film, you hear them differently. When you understand the place that they came from. What Elvis song do you now hear most differently, having been a part of this?
Suspicious Minds.
Why?
Hands down. Because I think it's about a relationship, and I think it really speaks to the relationship, to their relationship. And I think that I didn't know that context. You know, I think same with, Can't Help Falling in Love. He sort of sung these songs at sort of pivotal moments in his life, and I think that I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's hard to hear them differently.
And I just remembered who I think maybe this story might be a bit on the nose, but Obama.
I would love to see
Right?
the
So
Baz Luhrmann,
fascinating.
Barack Obama biopic.
I think so too. I have to call him
I'm
up.
going to talk to him.
Great.
Now I'm going to get producer credit. on
Great.
that. And you
Absolutely.
and I win the Oscar.
Totally.
I love
Done.
this.
It's a deal.
I love you. You're
Thank
the best.
you.
Seriously, thank you for your time.
Thank
I
you
really
so
appreciate
much.
Every time we chat, man, I'm such a fan of your work, and what you do as an actor is just absolutely phenomenal. So seriously, thank you for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I was wondering if you could imagine sitting in a movie theater with B.B. King and watching this film, and when it's over, you lean over and you go, "What'd you think about how I did this?" What is the aspect of your performance that you would love to get his thoughts on?
I think there's a line where I come out into the window and I go, "Big Red." And then he always says it a certain way, and I found different versions of him saying it, and I just would lean over and be like, "Do you like that one? Do you like that Big Red?"
And it's always different?
It's always, but it has the same kind of like overly chipper like excitement about his new tour bus.
I love that.
So I thought it was really sweet, but I would make fun of him about it a little bit.
You know, I gotta say, watching your performance as him, it just made me wish, like, I was like, oh, I could watch an entire movie of you playing him. You get to play him in a very specific part of his life.
Yeah.
Are there other aspects of his life, maybe down the road, that you would have loved to have played?
Ooh, I would love to like. I would love to be part of the element when he started doing he did a Coca-Cola jingle, and like all his like peers were being like that Coca-Cola jingle was horrible, but BB made it work for him. And I just loved seeing him with, this is a man who had like he had 14 kids. And so I just loved to see him just in that space and just navigating what all of that was like, and doing the shows when he's sitting on the chair and just like, let's go. You know what I mean? Like
that stance, he does it, and we all collectively go, yeah, it works.
Yeah.
But I do that stance, people go, dude, like, come on,
Really? Come on, seriously?
No, nobody wants to see that. Fun connections. You worked obviously with Riley on It Comes at Night. At any point, like, do you casually bring up like, what is it like being in this family? Like, did you guys ever talk about like the Presley family when you guys worked together?
last night it was really funny because I was sitting with her and her grandmother and her mom, and I was like, y'all know I didn't know who she was for the longest. Like I didn't know. I spit black blood into her mouth.
Just a great movie, by the way.
And I had no clue that they told me on the last day. It was like, yeah, that's Elvis Presley's granddaughter, and I was like,
I spit black blood into her.
right. So it was cool. It's funny. We laugh about it now, but it's chill.
I feel like they probably appreciate the few people that don't really know.
Yes, I think so too, and I think it keeps everything like feeling like just chill.
Exactly.
And yeah, that's who they are.
I don't think I knew till I watched Zola, and then someone told me like, oh, you know who that is, which she's great in Zola.
She's fantastic.
Yeah,
fantastic.
that movie's-
actress.
I
And director now.
Yeah, brush that dirt off your shoulder.
It's literally.
I love that between Gatsby and this film, Baz is like telling the story of America in different moments in time through different people, whether it's Jay Gatsby or Elvis. Who is the person out there today that he could tell the story of America in 2022 in?
Whoa, what a question. Wow. My face went.
That's a good sign. That's a good sign.
I don't know. What if he did like, I don't know. That's interesting. There's a lot of people. I always love to see him do a Kanye biopic.
I mean, as a Chicago guy, I could see that.
There it is.
I could see. Oh, could you imagine? Like the wheels are turning in my head now. A Baz Luhrmann Kanye West biopic.
That'd be interesting.
I'm gonna pitch that to him.
And
if that ends up getting made, you and I get
Producing
like
partners.
producer credits.
Let's go.
It wins Best Picture. We're the ones that get the Oscar.
Come on. I want to think.
Yes. It'll be the first Oscar that came from a junket interview ever. Hey man, seriously, I'm such a fan of your work, and I think we've met many times via Zoom, but this is the first time we've ever actually got to meet in person. So I appreciate you. Thank you for making my life easy by continuing to do great work.
Thanks,
I appreciate
man. Appreciate you.
Big fan. Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Hey!
The camera's rolling on that.
I know, right?
Oh, that's really because all 4 of my questions are: do you like my suit?
I know.
Yes. Oh, but yes, that's it. That's it. You guys look
Yes.
fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Also, I don't know if you've heard, this movie's amazing. And I always tell people, I do junkets every day, that when I don't like a movie, I just sit here and go, so, first question. You just awkwardly start out the interview, but this movie's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Seriously, a lot less work on your part to fake
makes
it,
it
huh?
so easy.
Hallelujah.
Jake Hamilton, Good Day Chicago. I'm not that good of an actor, so I was wondering if you could imagine actually sitting in a movie theater with Little Richard, with Sister Rosetta, watching this movie, and when it's over, you lean over and go, "What did you think about how I did this? What is the aspect of your performance you'd love to get their thoughts on?"
Ooh, did I land that solo? Yeah, because I had to learn to shred. Yeah.
I just imagine you can do everything.
Hey, like, you know.
I feel like that's the world we live in.
Yeah, people are just like, well, such is the nature of black excellence. You have to acquire like 5,000 things, and then they go, "Oh, you're good at the one thing," and I'm like,
exactly.
Rotted. Look, I'm finally here. So yeah, like you have to get good at like a million things to
be
get the
noticed
visual.
for one.
Yeah,
I mean, because you're writing these days. You're doing.
Yeah, I
you're doing it all.
write. I've got my albums out, 6-time Grammy nominated. It's all coming up, Yola.
As it should.
Yeah.
As it should. What would you ask?
I would ask him, was my outfit okay?
You look good.
Thank you.
You rocked it.
I had the honor of playing like a young Little Richard, like fresh out of church, 22s. I can go to Club Handy and be sexy and be wild. So I would really just ask him how I did. I don't know what I would say. I would be looking at him like, but
I kind of want to see a biopic of you playing.
Right?
I want the
love
Elvis for Little Richard.
I would
know.
love that, honestly.
He's just
He
so
has such
sexy.
an amazing story, honestly.
I'm about to talk to Baz in like 5 minutes.
I know,
I'm gonna
right? Go
put a picture-
hey.
If I get a producer credit.
I know, right?
I mean, we created this in this moment.
Bring the
Let's
hustle.
do it.
Okay.
I got you.
knows?
I'll be much better than Tom Parker, I promise.
I know, right?
Yeah, we'll make it work. Speaking of biopics, I feel like it's really interesting that Baz has, through Gatsby and this film, told different stories of America in different times with Jay Gatsby and with Elvis. If he wants to tell like kind of complete a trilogy and tell the story of America today, who does he make a movie about?
Ooh, that's a hard one, but
You got a
good.
long junket day. I'm trying to throw some stuff out
I
at you
know,
that-
but this is like real questions.
Those are
Okay,
That's
like
a good question.
I feel like okay, so maybe you tell the story of Prince. Because then you get to tell the Parliament Funkadelic story. You get to tell the whole, like, when James Brown, like, they're in this band and, like, they're all, like, way too tripping to, like, get all intense about stuff. Like, and if you've seen Tales from the Tour Bus, you'll see, like, there's a really hilarious narrative that ensues. But, like, like, I think that would be really,
Prince
really
or
good.
Michael.
Or Michael.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't mean to go on a tangent, but if I can get you guys to Chicago, the Prince experience is in Chicago right now.
Ooh.
And it's just, it's fantastic. Fun fact, did you know the where he shot the Purple Rain album cover, Icon, is the exact same place where they filmed the Upside Down Kiss from Spider-Man.
No.
It's like a back, it's on the Warner Brothers lot. It's like a
Get
back lot.
on.
Yeah. It's the
I
exact-
love that.
Yeah.
Thanks
I
for
need
that.
to
got
pull
you.
up. I need to pull
That's
I
a bit
got
of
you.
life enrichment.
Yeah, I'm a big movie nerd. So I'm
Hey.
full of. That's why I'm gonna be single forever. Just full of fun facts like that. As we wrap up, it's so funny. watching this movie, I hear all these songs that I've heard 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And then you see them in this movie, and they hit you different. Because you see them in a context of a life that you didn't really understand. What is the Elvis song that you most hear differently now, having done this film?
I would say Hound Dog.
Yes.
Big Mama Thornton's version of Hound Dog and the original Hound Dog blows your mind in the movie. It is so powerful, so spiritual, and she was talking about somebody, and she probably still loved who she talking about. You felt it, you know, so I would say Hound Dog for sure.
Yeah, and I was gonna try and say something different, but like hearing Shonka sing that in the way she did, and like, so we shot scenes like right after, next to each other in the day sometimes, and she'll come through and like her commitment was just like, she's just like, hi, and like she's like gone. I'm like, Shonka, hey girl, and like, and like she's just like in it. She's in it, and so like I felt like just like she was mad. She was mad. It's like, yo, you ain't nothing. But the mad comes from the love. It's like the love and hate being right next to each other.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
And so it's like, that's like, I heard that different. Like, I'd heard it a lot of times, but seeing it played out in this way, it was like, it had all the raunch. She gave, like, she like hit your skirt up. And I'm just like, girl.
It was the first You're So Vain you probably think the song is about. You're like, well, before that, we got Hound Dog. Yes. Because you're right, it was about somebody.
It was about somebody.
And he's out there and he goes, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Right.
It is, and it is, and you're right in saying that she's probably still in love.
Right,
because
like, you ain't singing about nobody you don't care about or love about.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's it. I love this interview. This was great.
Yes.
Thank you so much. I know we only have a few minutes, but seriously, thank you guys for being so great.
so
and
much.
you made my job easy, so I appreciate it. I'm a huge
appreciate
fan.
you.
Thank you
Nice
guys.
to meet you.
Awesome.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.